U.S. Undersecretary of State Victoria Nuland just revealed that the U.S. has been helping to plan Ukraine's impending counteroffensive for the past 4 or 5 months. This disclosure, suggesting as it did that the U.S. is actively involved in Ukraine's military operations, is somewhat at odds with Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Milley's recent assertion that the war in Ukraine is, quote, not a war between the U.S. and Russia, it's not a war between NATO and Russia, it's a war between Ukraine and Russia. Nuland's disclosure is also at odds with the usual U.S. claim that Ukraine decides for itself what military actions to take. Thus, U.S. officials will have us believe that the U.S. had nothing to do with Ukraine's recent drone attack on Moscow or the previous attack on the Kremlin. The U.S. also had nothing to do with the assassinations of Daria Dugina and military blogger Vladlen Tatarsky. The U.S. had nothing to do with the attack using U.S.-made military vehicles on Russia's Belgorod region. The U.S. had nothing to do with the drone attack on the Engels 2 air base, which houses long-range Russian strategic bombers. The U.S. had nothing to do with the truck bombing of the Kerch Bridge or the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines. According to General Milley, even as the U.S. doles out weapons to Ukraine, it always insists that Kiev not use them to conduct military operations outside of its borders. The rules we have set, he said, is that Ukrainians not use, quote, U.S.-supplied equipment to attack into the geographic space of Russia. And yet, Ukraine continues to do so. The New York Times reports that U.S. officials have no idea what the Ukrainians are up to. Quote, Ukrainian military leaders are reluctant to share information with the U.S. on war plans. The Ukrainians have been especially tight-lipped about their covert operations. If true, this U.S. admission raises a number of questions. First, what's the value of General Milley's assurance that the U.S. prohibits use of U.S. weapons on Russian territory? Second, given the $100 billion the U.S. has lavished on Ukraine, would it not have been incumbent upon it to keep track on how that money was spent? Third, given that the U.S. has 17 intelligence agencies at its disposal, how hard would it have been to find out what close ally Ukraine is up to? Fourth, during those meetings in which the plans for Ukraine's counteroffensive were thrashed out, did any U.S. officials suggest that attacking Russian territory wasn't a great idea? Did no one warn that the U.S. could take punitive actions if it continued? Recall EU Foreign Minister Josep Borrell's declaration, quote, if we don't support Ukraine, Ukraine will fall in a matter of days.